So our next performer is also a person who is everything that we are not.
Funny.
Taller than me. Funny.
Yeah.
Funny.
It's Søren, the
funny
funny man.
Søren.
Tak for den søde.
I love you, baby!
Ja. Jeg glæder mig meget til at være her i aften. Jeg var lidt i tvivl om, jeg vidste, at jeg ville lave noget. I starten der havde jeg den her tanke om, at jeg skulle derop, og så skulle jeg enten sådan synge en sang, jeg selv havde skrevet om kærlighed eller et eller andet, eller måske lave et musical-nummer, et cover, som jeg rigtig godt kan lide, og så ville jeg synge sådan rigtig dårligt, og I ville synes, det var dårligt. Og så ville jeg sådan være tvunget til at sådan klappe, og det ville være akavet for alle. Men det synes jeg bare, der er så mange andre, der har gjort jer. Jeg tror i stedet bare, at jeg vil fortælle nogle jokes. Jeg kan rigtig godt lide den her skole. Jeg synes allerede, jeg er faldet godt til, og det har jo meget at gøre med smukke omgivelser, nogle fantastiske mennesker. Jeg kan virkelig godt lide både eleverne, de gamle og de nye, og lærerne især. Jeg kan virkelig godt sætte pris på en lærer, som ligesom giver mig noget videre, som jeg kan bruge i mit liv. Og sådan en lærer havde jeg også engang på gymnasiet. Han har virkelig hjulpet mig meget. Han har været min vejviser. Jeg kan huske, gymnasiet er en svær tid, fordi man er sådan i tvivl, hvad skal fremtiden bringe og sådan noget. Så jeg kan huske en gang, der havde vi timer, og så satte han sig ned, og så fortalte han os, og jeg glemmer det aldrig, han sagde, din karakter, den afhænger meget af, hvad du kommer op i. Og han havde sgu ret, altså, hvis man boller med mærkelige mennesker, så folk tænker sig at dømme en for det. Jeg ville virkelig ønske, at jeg også havde hjulpet mig videre med min eksamen og sådan. Man kan jo ikke få det hele, jo. And now that I'm done talking shit about Ukraine, I will switch to Even though it's nice being older, being a grown-up, it has its difficulties, because when you get older, you start to get more self-conscious, and you start to feel like people are judging you. That's why I really like this place, because I can just be myself and not be scared that people will judge me for who I am. In the real world, in society, people will judge you, and that's why you get self-conscious and criticize yourself. And when did that happen? You know? A couple of years ago, I remember I was watching a BuzzFeed video, and that's the last time you're gonna hear me say that sentence. But I was watching this BuzzFeed video, and it was really interesting. They interviewed these grown-ups, grown-up people, grown-ups, and they simply asked that if you could change one thing about yourself, what would you change? It's a simple question, and of course they all said, a woman said she wanted a smaller nose, and the guy said, I wish I was, taller, or have bigger muscles, They kind of felt like they wanted to improve how they looked, I think they did it subconsciously, but it was very interesting, because then they asked small children, the same question, and they just wanted, wings, so they could fly, or to jump really high. They used their fantasy. They weren't afraid of what people thought of them. They weren't conscious about how they looked, and I thought that was really significant. At that time, I had a younger brother. He's still alive. I didn't kill him. He was 5 at the time, so I thought I was going to try this experiment to see if it was bullshit or if it was really true. So I sat him down and said, Oliver, if you could change one thing about yourself, what would you change? And it took him 4 seconds. He said, I want really long arms with swords so I can kill everyone at school. Now you might think that my experiment failed, but I would argue that wishing for the means to dominate and destroy your enemies is still slightly better than being self-conscious. So I think that's a win. But you know, then you grow up, then you start to, suddenly when you hit puberty, you start to be scared a lot. And last year, my sister, she turned 12, and you know, stop, I know I'm from Jutland, but it wasn't what I was going for. She turned 12, and some of the kids in school started telling scary stories, and they showed her a video on YouTube with a monster under a bed or some folk tale or something, and she got really scared. She got really anxious. It had a huge impression on her. And she went home, Søren, there's an evil monster under my bed. And I said, yeah, well, but the one in the closet seems nice. So eventually we made her an appointment with a therapist because she was really scared and didn't really know what to do, and it's very sad, so we made her go to the therapist. And at her first session it was going really well. Then the therapist said, Caroline, you know monsters don't exist, you know they aren't real, just like Santa Claus. But she didn't know that yet. Needless to say, she left that clinic more traumatized than and you know, that's suddenly she's grown up, because the last thing you have as a child is kind of Santa Claus. Once you say goodbye to that, you know, except some of you still think you're going to achieve your dreams. Most of you have accepted yeah. But yeah, and she also, it also hit us because we had lied to her. We had told her Santa Claus was real and played the game, you know, because we wanted her to believe, but she felt betrayed. I kind of felt like how some of Harvey Weinstein's close friends must have felt after the Me Too campaign. Just when I'm like, you knew about Santa, didn't you? You knew this and you didn't say anything. You just played along, didn't you? You knew what he was doing to those reindeers. You will pull the sleigh. Yeah, right. The only red thing about Rudolph was his ass cheeks when Santa was done with him. But she's better now. That was the point. I have one last story, and it's very personal because it happened very recently. So you have to promise not to laugh. 1.5 years ago, I had this girlfriend, and we were very happy. We got along really good. We did the sex. And you know, I thought I was getting really good at it. I'm a young man with access to the internet, so I thought, you know, anal seems interesting. So I brought it up. We had a very healthy discussion. Me saying please, her saying no. But it didn't really go anywhere. So I asked her why don't you want to do the anal? And she said, I just think it's gonna feel weird, and I think it's gonna be awkward and gross, and I just don't think it's worth it. And she was full of shit, you know. Hope not. But at the same time, I was working at this restaurant, as a waiter. And a week after we had the discussion, I was taking a shower, and I thought about, you know, our discussion again, and how I didn't understand her part of the story, and I really wanted to, you know, understand where she was coming from. So I put a finger in my ass. And it felt really weird. And it didn't smell very good. So suddenly I knew her side of the story, and it felt good. Not when my finger was out, it felt good, you know, knowing that now I finally understood her, and I was gonna expect her, you know, her wishes, and it would come in her own time. Then I went to work, and you know, at this place I was working at, we had like the chef, and we had a couple of guys my age who wanted to be cooks, so they were kind of learning. They were working there part-time and also going to school at the same time. And they were, you know, if you know anything about people who cook, you know, chefs and stuff, they're very, and these guys are very, I just fuck this girl in the weekends and stuff. And I was the only one with a girlfriend, and they knew, so they asked me, coincidentally, have you tried anal yet? And now I had the upper hand. So I said, no, I respect her wishes. And they gave me the whole, you know, all the arguments that I also had given back when I had the discussion. But then you know, I thought I would teach them a lesson. So I told them about the story, about the finger and the shower and the smell. And I was like, this is gonna be so great, because then these guys they're gonna realize that you have to see the woman's side too. You can't just be a masochist who thinks that your wishes are the only thing that's important. I really thought that they would remember me. They would look at me, at this progressive person, this person who they could look up to, who they could follow. But I was remembered as the guy who stuck a finger and smelled it. And that's the story about how I'm no longer allowed to help mix the salad.